Right, hello everybody. Sorry for that. A little bit of disruption there with a good old webcam, which decided for some bizarre reason to disappear from OBS. So you had the opportunity to not see me for a few minutes, which I'm sure filled you with a load of sharp relief. And as promised today, we have, because it's Throwback Thursday, I normally do Throwback Thursday on a Tuesday, A, because I'm silly, and B, because Thursday's normally quite a busy day for me. And sometimes doing a lot of stuff in a short space of time is quite tough, whereas I think I've got the time today, and it may well be that I do Throwback Thursday on a Wednesday or a Friday, but it's always going to be Throwback Thursday. Um, so we've got something a little special. On arguably the anniversary of well, kind of the anniversary of 25 years since Mech Warrior released. Um, I was just having a quick look at something I got kicking around, and you can see in here that the original release was late '96, early '97 for Counter Strike, summer of '97 for Mercenaries, fall of '97 for Mech Warrior, which is 25 years ago. So that's three expansions in the year, and they were absolutely chucking them out left, right, and centre. And then spring '98 for Arsenal, in preparation for Worlds about June time. And this set of Arsenal, as you can see, they grew. 99 in Counter Strike. I think that's probably because they added the odd resource card to the Counter Strike pack. If you open a Counter Strike booster, you'll get a couple of resources in there. So they still have the same number per pack and packs per box, but less cards to distribute. And then they get 101 with Mercenaries, 108 with Mech Warrior, 108 with Arsenal, and the same with Crusade at the end there. So Arsenal came out, and after what could only be described as the wonders of Mech Warrior, if you remember a reviewing process that we were doing a little while back, we put Mech Warrior as a 9. It was that good. It had such a good change for the meta. Um, Arsenal had probably a 9 on impact, but whether the set was a 9 was um, another issue. And the reasons for that was there were a large amount of vehicles and battle armor, and when it happened, everybody was pumped for it. Wizards gave out their normal spiel beforehand, and you got card releases and whatever else, and there were a whole load of vehicles, and people were generally quite pumped and interested in it. And there are some really good cards in there. For example, I've been mentioning Dal Allard over the week with the pilot decks and stuff like that. There are a load of other things coming in, Clan Elementals, Jade Falcon getting some love, you know. But the problem was that it all got shrouded behind the vehicle swarms, and this is an example of that. And whether this is an example of Wizards of the Coast not understanding the meta, which is quite possible. I mean, it's all right having a design team of, a load of people, but when you've got a community that's hundreds of people, there are a number of bright people in there, and I would classify people like Beaker and Donald Focht, the 16 card wonder, Lim, the guy that created the Mechless deck. And to be fair, if I go and have a look in some of the archives I've got, there are posts I've got from Beaker and Donald Focht, Lim, about creating a Mechless deck, and getting it to work, and all those kinds of things. So when you've got these creative minds, people that can see combos or point out broken things, then you're always on a losing battle because there are more people than there are in your testing team. And therefore, whether you're very good at it or very bad at it, you can't catch everything. And I think that's true of any card game. You either play test it into oblivion, or you do something about it. And Wizards were caught on the back foot because of this, and I'll demonstrate it in a minute. And it's what ended up as a hard 10 vehicle limit per deck. I never personally understood why it was 10 vehicles, because it didn't seem to fit in with the 6 of everything, which is the one of the fundamental design principles of BattleTech. 60 card deck, 6 of each copy of the card maximum. That's what Richard Garfield designed the game on. And there are a number of mechanics that make this different to Magic with its 4 card limit, and 40 card plus deck, or whatever else it is. It's designed differently, and that's why the numbers and the rules are different. So anyway, these vehicles came out, and if you have a look in Arsenal, and actually maybe we'll do this. Let's make sure that I always love that you have to search criteria by arse. I know you can get away with AR, but I thought it was reasonably jocular. And let's not go with key. Yes, go with keyword, and let's go with vehicle. And you can see here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 cards, 25 vehicles in the set. And the set was 108 cards. So it's, about 22%. And it doesn't seem too bad. Obviously you can play more than one of them. So it did seem to give you a fair bit of diversity, etc., etc. Maybe that's one for Michael. The Ontos attack is not listed as a 0. I'll just jot that down. I mainly because I went through when BT Tactics plugin was generated a few years ago. It was taken from the original game, and then I went through every card, or most of the cards, and updated them or checked them over. I'd put the weapons in and stuff like that. I think the Ontos having a 0 value is the fact that it went into a spreadsheet, and therefore the 0 gets removed. The other one is the other mistake I know at the moment is it teachings? Is it teachings of the unfinished book? Which let's face it, nobody plays. No, it's not that one. It's the safe report, which is Marek. He's changed it. That is now Marek affiliate. No, it's assigned as a clan card, and it isn't a clan card. Obviously, it's an inner sphere card. So there's 2 little bits in there. So anyway, enough of me tangenting. Let's go to the vehicles, and when you look at the costs, there are a number that are 0 cost because they're so cheap, and because they're so frail. I mean, let's face it, your Cyrano is the epitome of frail. It's a 0-1-1. I mean, apart from having no attack, what else could you do on it? And let's face it, it's just a helicopter with a laser on it. And that's about it. Your Hussar isn't much better. In fact, your Hussar's worse. But the rule of thumb I would suggest when you get down here is you probably don't want to be playing with any vehicle that's above 3 cost. And then the reason for that is simply the die roll, which again we'll talk about. The original die roll was, as you can see on this Demolisher, it says activates guards and blocks like a mech. If damaged, roll a die. On a 6, scrap it. So 1 in 6 chance of scrapping it. Sorry about that. I'm still a bit under the weather and need the fluids. So 1 in 6 chance of scrapping it. So depends how lucky you are. The point is that if you go and spend 6 for your wonderful Missile 1366 Ontos, and it dies the first time a flea hits it, then you're going to feel pretty aggrieved. So my general rule of thumb is 2 and lower on vehicles is generally a good place to be. Anything above that, you've got to ask yourself, is it worth the effort? Is it worth the resource? So anyway, just a few bits and pieces there, and there are some vehicles in here that are well played, and by that I mean you see them a fair bit. The Cyrano pops up now and again. The Saladin is quite popular. The Cavalry is also quite popular when you're looking at VTOLs. Although if you're playing in League, all the VTOLs are nerfed effectively because everyone's playing Rifleman and Jaegermech, which can block them. Which I don't see the point for. Why aren't you just running a Rocky Gorge and killing them straight off? Much easier. Your Burke is popular, and the reason the Burke's popular is you're paying 1 resource and you get 4 damage out of it. That's pretty nice. Galleon is reasonable. The Lightning I quite like. It's a 2 cost 033 dash, comparable to a Jenna. Okay, it's a vehicle. They both dash. Jenna's got jump. They're pretty well balanced. Jenna requires M. This is 2 1L1T. I got no problem with that. It's working quite well. Partisan I mentioned last night, and probably the last one on the list is the Shrek 334. Again, you're paying 2 cost for 4 damage, which a ratio of 2 damage per 1 resource is pretty good value. Pinto's also reasonable, 042 VTOL. And the Ontos, with 3 missiles, might be a bit better in League with the missile rule. But after that, we were into the big stuff. Okay, so that's a rough overview. And the problem that Wizards didn't really see was based around the free deploy issue. And this particular deck absolutely abuses it. And again, it was played for a few weeks. Everybody screamed because the game was about vehicles all of a sudden and not mechs, and they had to react. So I will just pull the deck up and we will have a look at it. And this shows where we are. So we'll start with the units, and arguably the weakest unit in the deck is the J. Edgar 051. But it's a dash, and it's got AP, so 2 damage to the stockpile or a command card. It fine, fair enough. Only does 1, nice and balanced. Bit of AP to plink away at the stockpile, and he only has 4 of them in there. And the next card, Sloth Squad, 1 cost 2L is battle armor, but this card has got a bucket load of text on it because of the effects. So, blocked unless guarding, okay, because it's slow, really slow. Choose an engaged mech and roll a die. 1 to 3, that mech gets 1 to 3 structure damage. And that's structure, not armor. 4 to 6, no effect. Use this ability during a battle. You can deploy this revealed, and you get to you draw a card when you put your Sloth Squad on the table. That's pretty mental, putting something down and getting another replacement one and a free deploy, and it doesn't cost much either. Argallian 052 revealed and get another deployment. I'll leave the armor for a moment. Burke's 234. It's got long range, and again load of damage on that. The Bulldog, the first Bulldog, 032, free deploy, 0L and M. Then you've got the LRM variant of the Bulldog, 023 Missile 1, free deploy as well. And our lovely Saladin, free deploy Saladin, out it goes. And it's got L for 2, so here's your Dasher Killer, etc., etc. And that is the essence of your swarm. And what you'll see is there's 1 think tank, 1 black market. What we got? 4 munitions, 5 logistics. There's 9 basic resources and a think tank. 10 basic resources. You should get 1 in your opening hand, but the chances of double mulligan are quite high. And I normally wouldn't recommend going below 14. And Beaker has gone on 10, of which 1 is a think tank. So that's pretty scary. But when you think that this is a zero cost munitions, this is a zero cost logistics and munitions, this is a zero cost uh, logistics, as soon as you put a resource on the table, you're probably going to go free deploy, free deploy, free deploy, put the resource down, and throw them out. Um, and note there are three war funds at the top here to go and find what you want. And then finally, the interesting, and I'll leave it at that, hidden reserves to refill your hand, draw 3 cards. And okay, that looks pretty well balanced a bit. Actually, let me just play around with the screen a little, because I think I can give you. Where am I think I can give you a little more screen. There we go. That's looking a lot nicer. Okay, I'm in the corner on my own now, but I'm getting a little lot nicer. And the Sloth Squad is also a draw. And here you go. Ferrofibrous upgrade. The only time you will ever have seen this in a deck. And it's not even in the deck for the armor. It's a free deploy and it's a draw. And that's the only reason it's there. So there are 5 draw cards and 4 sloth squads. In fact, I might even be tempted to take the sloth squads down a little and drop a couple of J. Edgars on that. Have I got 60 cards? Yeah, and then I've got 6 hidden reserves. So the draw potential is crazy, on top of hardly any requirements, a couple of resources, and literally you flood the board. And when it's your go, you literally dump your hand and refresh half of it with draws and the hidden reserves. And it's an incredibly smart, well thought out epitome of a swarm. Swarms being to chuck lots and lots of low cost mechs out and plink away at people. Little bee stings here and there. But it's just great. And some Wizards didn't test this. And it it ran riot for a few weeks, or variations of it ran riot. There are all sorts of variations. Most of them were called bulldog swarms because they ran all six each of these bulldogs at 0 cost each. Probably your Saladins and then a few other bits and bobs. What happened was where you filled in was with the 1 cost unit. But most people didn't run Ferrofibrous Upgrade until they worked out the power of the draw, because what was happening is they were dumping the hand and they couldn't get enough cards back in the hand quick enough. And the game became a total race as to who could get the most units out and batter the other guy. And then Wizards combated that and basically said, we're going to limit you to 10. As I said at the time, I could never understand why it wasn't 12. It was 10, and solve the whole problem with one simple rule. Yes, there are still free deploy mechs out there and free deploy decks, which you have to look at and you have to be careful. You can't just run around slapping free deploy. I know my mouth's a bit dry after that. Everywhere, because you'll just end up with the same potential. And the same's true with AP. So all right, having lots and lots of little mechs and then giving them all AP, but all of a sudden they're doing 2 and 3 instead of 1, and that has a huge influence. So anyway, let's load this into hand, and let's see what it draws like. Because I tried this the other night and it stalled and then it shot. So we'll start off. Okay, this looks scary already. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to deploy that bulldog and deploy that bulldog for free, because they are both free deployments. So that's for free, that's for free. Put my logistics out, and then those 2 come out to play. Turn 1. Thank you very much. My opponent has a go. Then I draw, and then I draw. So I will, let's see, I will play my Ferrofibrous Armor revealed to gain an additional deployment. I will play my Sloth Squad revealed to get an additional deployment. And when I play my Sloth Squad, I get to draw a card. Oh, I'll play another Sloth Squad and draw a card. And I'm actually on no deployments at the moment. So, oh, I'll deploy the Saladin as well. And I will tap my logistics for a war fund. I'll put the armor on that bulldog. By the way, I should have probably done that. I will tap that to put one counter on the Sloth Squad, which means that's finished. I will scrap that, and I'll just turn this over to show everyone what's going on. Drop a munitions, tap this. That's one construction on there. I now have munitions, and my Saladin comes out, and now I've got 2 Sloth Squads as well. So I'll just clear those, and just note the ability on the Sloth Squad to do 1 to 3 structure as well. And I'll probably stick my opponent for 2 and a couple of missiles. Oh, fancy rolling them? A 4 and a 5, so I've hit him for 2 already. Okay. And I'll draw another one. Okay, I'm stalling. Saladin revealed, logistics out, 1 for the galleon. Do I need another deployment? Yeah, I think I might as well. I'll drop my war funds out, and all of a sudden I'm now attacking you with Saladin Sloth Squad. So we'll roll a couple of dice, 2 on that. So that's 1, 5, and then I'll attack with the other 2 and another 3 on top of another 2. That's another 10. So I've already done 12 damage on turn 3. What was it 4? I'm not counting. Hopefully I'll get a oh, and those guys come out to play as well. Hopefully I'll get a hidden reserves now. Oh, timely. And you saw it, it's all live. I didn't fudge that. Scrap heap, draw a card, draw a card, draw a card. Oh, that goes for free. That goes for free. And I'll pay 1 for my galleon. That's out because I've got L and M, so that's 2 damage. That's out from L and M, I've got 2 damage. And another 1 for my galleon. So I can do, and you can see how it rockets. I don't know how many I'm doing now. I'm not going to alpha the Saladins either. I know people tend to alpha them and get 3 out of them, but I can do 1 this turn, 1 next turn, and 1 the turn after with it. Okay, if I alpha, I'll get my 3 straight away, but it's depleted and can get attacked, and then it's tapped. If I drop it this turn and do 1 damage, and then he pulls a dasher, I can still block and kill. So I'm not convinced with the, oh, you must always alpha strike your Saladins. I think you pick your moment for that. So I'm going to go 3 there, a couple more die there, another 3 structure if I get blocked. I'm not rolling very good dice on these bulldogs, but hey, that's probably another, where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm on 22 cards already. These guys come out and draw on my next turn. Sloth Squad, draw a card. Ferrofibrous Armor, draw a card. I'm not having much luck with my hidden reserves. Bulldog comes out, Saladin comes out, and I can probably go and do another 10, and we're on 30 cards. And then next turn, oh, here's a hidden reserve scrap. 1, 2, 3. Bulldog for nothing, free. J. Edgar into the straight out into the patrol zone, and a Burke. Draw, hidden reserves, draw. Bulldog, Saladin, draw with the Ferrofibrous. Oh, another hidden reserves, 1, 2, 3. Saladin, Bulldog. Next turn, draw another card, hidden reserves. I go Sloth Squad, draw a card, J. Edgar out, Bulldog out, Burke out, and you just see how it just goes absolutely crazy and snowballs. I mean, I've got 18 cards left, and you can see, I'm going to draw another munitions. Maybe I might even have war funded for my black market. Is it in my hand now? Yes, in my hand now. Earlier to recycle a couple of resources, probably for a Sloth Squad to get a draw, because you get a unit and a draw, and then you can put that out as well. And everything is free, and you can see how the game turned into a total tank fest, for want of a better phrase, of little tanks going around shooting things instead of having big robots with particle projection cannons and auto cannons shooting hell out of each other. And it was all about economy. You think this is a you know zero. I mean zero 232. Okay, it's not that. It takes 5 to kill it. Okay, you've got to get lucky with the die roll, maybe, but yeah. And obviously they restricted it. That slowed everything down. People went back to playing normal mechs or decks, for want of a better phrase. And if you go and look, and I'll just see if I can find it, at the World Championships decks from that year, and here they are. You've got Terry and Yick playing Night Sky Centurion, 1 Lightning, 2 Cavalry, 6 Cyrano, 6 Hussar. So the Hussar is just because nobody ever uses it unless they're in that free deployment. The Hussar is that. It was Comstar. It was the wonderful 011. I mean, it's as frail as you get. Deployment for free. And their decks at the time used Sandhurst because Comstar wasn't a house. And that got changed over. And they ran very few resources. And away you go. Peter in third with his Dasher version. Version Night Sky, for want of a better phrase, because the Inferno Missile retrofit. Barry Young with his Pilot Swarm. Then you've got Sigmund Lamb with his Elemental Point deck, big mech kind of unit type thing. John Hunker with a pilot deck, and Zvi playing the mechless deck, and Dave Bryan with another pilot deck there. So the meta wasn't vehicles at all. When you look at this, the only vehicles you got were in Terry and Yick's deck here with the little choppers, and the C3 Partisan that I showed you yesterday for Dave. And on the clan side, there's a couple of elemental points in there, and that's it. So it was absolutely crazy for a few weeks, and then got nerfed, and then nobody played it. And then when they added a few more free deploy units later, if you look at the Swarm that Chad played, which was based on a deck that I made but played against because Rob Matthews played it at Gen Con and we went 1-1, which was something along these lines of a Steiner free deploy Swarm, where the idea was to flood the board. Rob had 30 units. 6, 6, 6, 6, that's 24. Okay, Chad's got 32. But when you look here, the Gorge Master beats it because Gorge kills free deploy and excuse me, vehicles. Dave Sundarm's Boone Wolf, Yick's Trader Wolf, and then there is a Star League free deploy, another one in there, Big Mechs, Chris Lunt's Karita Pilot, and then Mike Bodie's Davian Pilot for that point of view. Oh, excuse me a second. So the whole thing disappeared and then reappeared again in a slightly different guise. But when you look here, it's still only 10 mechs. Sloth Squad and Galleons being the ones in here. The Spider, the Hollander, and the Charger. And if you take the Star League out, the Charger disappears for that one. Chad's Bulldogs. He played the Bulldogs, which are arguably much better value Although it was Bulldog. Actually, he didn't. Bulldog Oops is because there weren't any Bulldogs in it at all. He played Yellow Jackets and Sloth Squads, and then Free Deploy Spider Hollander, and then the two Wolfhound and Centurions being the more beefier units. So, is it a threat these days? No, no, it's not a threat anymore. And the prospect of zero cost or very low cost units being thrown out there in this kind of swarm is viable, but there are so many counters to it. The reason that Tom Shyster Smith won Worlds, and if you look at his record, it was only 5-2 going into the final, 4-2 going into the final round. He only just scraped into the final 8, and then it was quarters, semis, and finals. And Chad had absolutely kicked his ass in one of the earlier rounds. It wasn't until he got Rocky Gorge down that the game was over effectively. And it's a valid strategy when you look at some of the other decks they're running Dest, and if you look at the final from the league where Gustav plays Michael, they both sideboard Dest in because they know that the other guy is playing that. I suppose the only other question would be, should Michael have run Politics and Dest from the start? I don't know. That's in the past. Um, Knowing that Gus is going to run various units of cheapness and vehicles and stuff, but it gets absolutely slaughtered by Dest. It gets absolutely slaughtered by Rocky Gorge. All of the damage on this table: 1, 2, 2. Okay, the Burke's an exception at 4. 2 cost Bulldog, 1 cost Bulldog, 1 damage Bulldog, 1 damage Saladin. I mean, Fog Shrouded Moors absolutely halves, if not 75%, the damage potential over that. You know, that goes completely. That goes to 1. Okay, the Burke's the exception. The Galleon gets halved. The Sloth Squad gets halved. The J. Edgar effectively gets halved because of the AP. And you've just reduced the entire effectiveness by 50%. So there are terrains and other cards that can deal with this. If you're attacked by 3 vehicles, you play a Com Guard and give them all 1 point of damage, and you'll kill 1 in 3 naturally anyway from die rolls on the 5 and 6 rule. So it's not as scary as it used to be, but I just like it because there's a lot of thought gone into it, and the Ferrofibrous upgrade and the Sloth Squad draw is a very nice thought in order to deliver on the effectiveness of the deck. I mean, you did see when I was pulling it out that at one point I kind of stalled because I couldn't get hidden reserves. So the actual draw of those two helped me maintain the momentum, so to speak. Okay, so there's Beaker's vehicle swarm, whatever you want to call it, that arguably was one of the decks that led to all the hiatus, all the chaos, the nerfing of vehicles, the reduction to 10, the die roll to 5 and 6, and then not the removal from the meta, but because of the 10 card limit, the meta was reshaped, for want of a better phrase, into a mech and vehicle free deploy semi-stroke low cost swarm, which is still viable and still playable and does well against some decks and not against others, which is where the meta should be. It shouldn't all be rock, paper, scissors, but most decks should stand a chance of beating other decks. And there are decks that are stronger against certain things than other things. And I think that kind of balanced level is a healthy meta and a reasonably competitive one because it gives everyone a chance. So anyway, there it is. Have a look at it if you want. Play it in a casual match. Tell someone you're not playing by any of the rules, or even just say, look, I want to try this for a laugh. Play what you want. And if I slaughter you, don't be offended. And if you slaughter me, I will not be offended. because it has got its pitfalls and stuff like that. And just appreciate it for what it is, which in my opinion is a very well thought out and constructed deck that maybe shows up Wizards of the Coast a little, but then everyone else was showing them up. As I said, there are a lot of creative minds out there, and you know, a few people in R&D doing some testing doesn't necessarily cover all the bases, although you'd expect them to cover 90% of them. But the fact that they maybe missed this one is maybe a little disappointing. But hey ho, certainly I was there and I remember the hiatus, and yeah, they got rid of it. I still think it should have been 12, just for interest's sake and uniformity, but it never made that. I even remember that they put a survey monkey poll up and invited everybody to vote on it, and everyone was just coming back and saying, why was it a 10 unit choice and not 12? And it was all over Alpha Strike. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm talking rubbish and melancholying, and I'm conscious that I've taken up a lot of your time talking about one lovely little nicely done deck. So I will wish you all a very good rest of your day. I hope you're safe and you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you again tomorrow. Yes, day 5 out of 7, trying to do the week. I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. I haven't thought that one through. I don't even know what I'm doing on Saturday either yet. We'll have to see. But there will be something. I will be there. I'll have to think of something in the meantime. So if you're interested, stay tuned, hit the follow button, and you'll get the notice and see what weirdness I can come up with. So take care, everybody. Catch you on the flip side.